What is up, GSW Nation, or Get Slammers? You choose how you want to be called. I prefer Get Slammers. GSW Nation's fine. I suppose it works. It is the LumberJake, your former longest reigning GSW champion. It hurts not having my championship here in the log cabin on Gimmick Road, but that's just how it happens. You know, you think you're the best, and then you get the throne taken away from you from a guy like Bow and Arrow. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about the kind of serious, kind of crazy, and just out of left field story from Alberto Del Rio, or Alberto El Patron, however you prefer to call him, whatever you prefer to call him, and Paige. At the beginning of the week, he got information in Orlando that he was being brought in on domestic battery charges. We didn't know if it was a previous relationship or if it was currently with his relationship with Paige. We just know there was some sort of domestic situation, and it was the internet kind of blew up about it. Twitter and Facebook was all over the place with it. But luckily, we got some clarity from someone who was actually involved in the incident. Shortly after the news broke, Paige went to Twitter to address the situation. Quote, "We got the cops involved. I'm crying because I found out bad fam news, and a lady tries to take a pic. She gets angry and throws drink on at Pride of Mexico." End quote. Then sending another tweet after that saying, quote, "Please leave us alone. That's it." End quote. Paige's brother Zach Beavis, aka Zach Zodiac, took to Facebook to voice his opinions on Alberto, and these don't seem that great. These actually seem pretty incriminating. Quote, "I've got to say I'm very worried about my sister. Please keep an eye on her. She had one prick known as Brad Maddox who took advantage of an 18-year-old girl, physically and mentally abused her, and now she's with a control freak who thinks he's a tough guy because he beats my sister and has money to cover his tracks. I love my sister, and she will end up like Whitney Houston or Amy Winehouse. Please share this. I want the world to know that I care about my little sister. Everyone keep an eye on her. You'll be angry at me, but I love you. I'm writing this on behalf of all the Knights." That's pretty crazy. Then Paige's other brother, Roy, said, "Well, now it's out there. The answer to all your questions I keep getting asked is there. My sis won't be going to WWE because he won't let her. He's trying to get her the sack by keep running on about them. So many people in the wrestling world hate him, but are scared to say it. Why?" Okay, so there's a lot to unpack out of that. First, you have Paige coming out and saying that they called the cops. They got the cops involved in the whole situation. Now, a third party, a fan gets involved and throws some beer on Alberto Del Rio. That's crazy. And then you have both of her brothers claiming that Alberto is abusive and treats her horribly, and he's the reason why she's not in WWE, and he's controlling, and all these crazy things that are coming out. And you think it couldn't get any worse. And then TMZ Sports gets a hold of the audio of the situation, and this happens.
Stay out of my life. Leave me the fuck alone. You're trying to get away from me. All this time, yes, you deserve it. You just have to ask me in your face, not the water.
You are pressing charges against me.
The press charges, don't fuck press charges. It gets me the fuck away from you. It gets me the fuck away from you.
Fantastic. I'll follow you. No. You're not gonna let her go. Call the police. She has something she needs to be arrested.
It just keeps getting worse. The more that comes out of this story, the more bad things seem to keep piling up. And it only gets weirder. Today, as I'm recording this July 13th, 2017, Paige tweeted the following statement on Twitter. "Alberto didn't want me to say the full story because he didn't want people to know, and I didn't want people to know that I threw a drink on him. I had a phone call saying my uncle is in a bad way. I'm crying outside the restaurant. I go in. Alberto is hugging me. I'm a little sensitive, and we start bickering about something so small. I say I'm leaving, and he says something that I won't write on here, but it wasn't nice. And I, even though I shouldn't have done it, I threw a drink in his face because I was so angry. Again, shouldn't have done it, It was in front of a lot of people. I walk out. He follows me a few seconds later and gets the cops and security. And a crazy lady decides to leave whatever she's doing to follow us and invade our privacy in completely low way. Only low life people would do. Anyways, it was me who was being held for battery charges because I threw a drink on him. He never touched me, and no, I never hit him with a glass 3 times like the internet in all its glory is making out. It's completely ridiculous how one story can spiral out of control. Oh, and guess what, internet? He smelled like beer because I threw a beer on him. Nothing more, nothing less. No one got arrested. There's no mugshots. There's no charges. Nothing. The horrible, disgusting human being of lady decided she wanted to make money out of our misfortune. I wish people would give us the privacy we deserve. I know we won't get it, but I wish it could happen. So there's some things, again, to take out of what Paige said. So we find out that the fan that got involved was just recording the audio and was just apparently following the situation and whatever, maybe thought they had to step in and maybe help or do something. I don't know why they seem to get involved, but you see couples fight like that, you don't know how to react necessarily. Should you stay out of it? Should you get involved? Of course, she threw a beer on him, so it seems like it might get violent and escalate things. You never really know. That's kind of an issue there. But let's also look at the fact that Paige blatantly lied on her Twitter, saying that she didn't throw that the fan that got involved threw the beer, that she didn't do it. So then that comes out that she did do it, and it is, I kind of understand where she's coming from, and I understand the situation where you don't want a fight with your significant other to be this publicized. You don't want to have this much attention to it. Of course, she did draw attention to it with her reactions, and there's the information that her uncle is going through a rough situation, and yeah, she probably really was emotional, but she's got to understand that she was in a public setting and she is a somewhat notable face, so these reactions are going to happen. This whole exchange, this whole video is because of her situation. She has to understand her celebrity, the little bit that she does have. And another thing, I'm still kind of mixed up in their whole relationship. It just seems toxic for each other, because not only do you have this weird stuff happening, you also have the fact that let's just recap the week. First, we get the news that it's possibly Alberto Del Rio has a domestic battery thing. Then we get her tweet about a fan throwing a drink on them. Then both of her brothers talk about how abusive and toxic and dangerous Alberto Del Rio is. Then she comes back and has this tweet and explains the whole situation. That is such a crazy week of events and a crazy situation, and it just keeps getting worse and worse for her. I feel for Paige, because only a few months ago she had the sex tape incident with Brad Maddox and all that stuff. Now she has all this situation with Alberto, and I do feel for her, but I have to question her decision making, because as of right now, they're still together and they're still fine and everything's honky-dory. The only reason I'm worried about her Paige and Alberto's situation, couples fight, and I don't necessarily think that what she's saying isn't true, where she was just in an emotional situation. He might have said something that maybe came off a little out of line. She threw the beer on him. Things got worse and escalated. But I think Alberto as a person, he has got some serious issues and serious anger problems, because he has a lot of deep-seated sour grapes with WWE, where he went on this big tirade and he's talking about how he's shouting when they try to turn the music up, because he's just being too obnoxious and cursing and having all this profanity. There's something wrong with this guy, and I just don't know about this relationship anymore. And again, what do I know? I'm a third party. I'm just a dude on a wrestling podcast, on a wrestling YouTube channel, just spouting off nonsense. I'm just saying this whole situation is just bad for everybody, especially Global Force Wrestling, which, by the way, Jeff Jarrett had some words about the situation. When asked about the investigation on Alberto El Patron in a media conference call from Wrestling Inc. owner Raj Guri, Jeff Jarrett said, quote, "The decisions, obviously, again, I want to be as transparent because it's the world we live in. I'm totally on board with this. I've got 5 kids, and communication is key to any relationship, whether it's personal or business or whatever. So to communicate with you folks who are taking the time out of your day to jump on this call, it's an ongoing investigation. Sounds so legal, but it goes a lot further than legal." So Global Force Wrestling is working on an investigation, and they suspended Alberto Del Rio, but he's still their World Heavyweight Champion and Impact Wrestling Champion. Awesome. So it's good that they're doing an investigation, and I'm glad that they suspended him, but why not take the belts off of him? I understand that Jeff Jarrett later would say because, he felt like it would hurt the brand. I feel like your brand is already getting hurt by this drama. And yeah, maybe it seems like a corporate WWE move to do that and take the belt off of him and worry about all the stuff that's going on outside the ring. But I think it's the right choice, and I think it should be done. I think the belt needs to be focused in the promotion and not have to deal with whoever has it, because he's causing too much drama. Vacate the belt, have that thing going on, and then if it really is nothing and everything gets solved, then put the belt back on him, have a storyline of him coming back, and put it on that way. It's that simple. I'm just also frustrated with how Global Force Wrestling handled that aspect of it. Everything else, the investigation, the suspension, is handled well. Now, to finish this whole ordeal and finish whatever's going on between Paige and Alberto and Global Force Wrestling and all this stuff, I just want to say that hopefully this can all sort everything out. Maybe things got blown out of proportion. The internet tends to do those things. All I can say is I hope that Alberto isn't this bad of a person that everybody says he is. It's not looking great for him right now publicly, but I really hope he's not that bad of a person, and I hope that if these two really do feel happy, they can be together. And I really hope that he isn't as abusive as her brothers say he is. But then again, if he is that abusive, Paige will defend him, because victims of abuse tend to do that. And I hope she's not being abused. I just hope everybody can get things sorted out and be happy. So that is all we know right now. There's probably going to be more stuff after I upload this and all these crazy things. What do you think about the whole situation? Do you think it got blown out of proportion? Do you think Alberto should still be champion? Do you think Paige and Alberto should split and just end this whole problem? Do you feel like Alberto could be abusive? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. Please do that. You can also follow us on Twitter at GetSlammed_Pod. You can also like our Facebook page, Get Slammed Wrestling. Of course, you can listen to the podcast that we do most of the time each and every week, that we do on SoundCloud.com/GetSlammed_Pod. You can listen to it, or it's GetSlammed_Pod there, I believe. You can get that there. Of course, the link will be below. You can also listen to us on iTunes, Google Play Music, anywhere you really listen to podcasts. We're probably on there. So thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.